Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we are back again with Alliance War number 9 of season 21, and we actually have quite exciting war. I did enjoy it and it was extremely close. Both alliances finished sub 10 deaths, so basically this was one of those wars which could easily swing either way, bar a mistake or two. So in section 1 I am on path number 6, and the first fight already there is extremely tricky, and I actually like this placement a lot. I think there aren't too many great options for this fight, and that is Dr. Doom on aggression regeneration strike back node. And obviously Dr. Doom is extremely tricky defender in itself, and how tanky he is and everything about that. So for him, largely specifically for this guy, I brought in a magic, and I did use the power start 1 boost, and the whole kind of point is just to keep him power locked in order to be able to ignore the strike back, and rest of it is play safe. Be aggressive, don't do anything kind of like too stupid, don't go for all sorts of different dashback intercepts. I do not want to trigger dexterity either. I don't want anything to happen in this fight, so I'm playing it extremely cautiously. I'm not dashing in and out. I'm parrying when I have to, finishing my combos, dropping my special attacks, just 100% trying to be safe. And we can see that that fight was already over 100 hits, so Dr. Doom's definitely a tanky opponent to go up against. And luckily that fight went with no problems. That was like very refreshingly harsh start of the war, because very first fight of this war was already one of those where you really want to be focused and paying attention. Now the second fight is She-Hulk on, I believe it is power focus 1, power alternator, power focus 1, something like that. So it's a relatively simple fight and nothing compared to the one before. And here I'm just going to use Nick Fury, and I'm just going to drop my level 1s to get rid of my power when that power alternator would kick in. If I have less power than She-Hulk does, then basically nothing happens. And even if I have more power than She-Hulk does, then still, if I don't have much power saved up, I don't have much to worry about. And yeah, just finishing my combos with lights, getting that bleed in. It's kind of funny to note that I'm using my 5-star Nick Fury for Alliance or attack, because my 6-star consistently sits on defense. And Nick Fury is one of those champions that I actually do use well. He's definitely one of the most used champions, because I frequently bring him in AQ. Quite frequently he ends up in Alliance War attack, and for this season specifically, my rank 3 6-star Nick Fury ends up on Alliance War defense, so I'm definitely happy that I have 2 of those. Now next up we're going to be going up against this Havoc. It's not really a mini boss, it's kind of like the joint fight there, but he has heavy hitter active, and we're gonna see that I'm gonna make a few mistakes in this fight. Overall, obviously Warlock is a great matchup, especially when there is no crumbling armor to be seen in sight. There is that debuff Fury node, basically, where if I have 3 debuffs active on me, then he gains quite massive fury, but ultimately it doesn't really matter if he doesn't detonate those plasmas, and the block damage doesn't increase by that much. The main thing is obviously that I manage Havoc himself, that I dropped my level 1, because I believe this node also has power alternator, so it's not the simplest fight. I will make a mistake somewhere soonish where I'm going to be too slow there. I didn't realize he had started throwing his heavy attack and he went unstoppable, and I went in for a hit, and obviously his heavy being unstoppable, I ate the heavy, got the feedback on me, and started taking quite a lot of damage. Now thankfully that happened towards end of the fight. It's not an ideal fight, nothing I'm overly happy about, but again, ultimately if you do not die, all is fine, right? So this is already day 2. I'm going to be moving on for my assignments in section 2, and I am on path 3 in section 2, and I also have to do this EMP modification burden of might human torch, and the plan here is just to kind of like brute force it through with Nick Fury. As you can see, I have the rainbow boosts active. Now I have the large champion boost, the medium attack boost, and the small health boost, so I have 1 of each. I'm gonna put on the skill boost as well, just so in case I have some extra oomph in this fight, because I don't really use these all that much, and I often have some of these expiring, and we can see that they are pretty much maxed out because of alliance crystals and whatever else you can get them. I don't know, I just seem to have them maxed out pretty much, and I hardly use these in wars, so I figured why not, any extra bit helps. I also activated Indestructible 3 because my intention in this fight was just to eat the level 3s should I have to, and that's about it. Since Bleed is something that reduces Human Torch's Incinerate duration, I wasn't too worried about that. However, there we can see that I did make a mistake and I wasted my Indestructible 3 boost. That's the most annoying bit for this one, because I just lost an unnecessarily large amount of health and completely kind of like wasted my backup option here. But obviously the best thing about Nick Fury is that extended life, so I still wasn't worried. I just still kept aggressive, and I finished the fight out in under 50 seconds. Definitely could have went better, definitely didn't play the best, few small hiccups here and there, but overall very quick, very simple fight. And sometimes I wanted to mention that it's the best thing you can do for a fight. If the fight seems tricky, just take a champion that can brute force his way through. And I feel that that is one of those things that has recently been lost in Alliance War, because everybody is kind of not obsessed, but trying their best to find the perfect counters. And you can see, for instance, Corvus and Ghost being used much less than they used before. And the base idea there with Corvus, with Ghost, with a few other champions was just to finish out these fights quickly, even if you don't have the best matchups, and even if you can't counter all of the nodes, for instance. But yeah, so now in path 3 in section 2, I'm up against the Colossus. Now this Colossus is extremely simple fight as long as you don't bring in Corvus. Basically, whenever I hit the opponent, if he has active armor buff, I would be bleeding, but obviously Warlock is bleed immune and I have class advantage against Colossus. I can armor break him, so as long as you know what you're doing there and you're not trying to get that Corvus mission, it's a very, very simple, straightforward fight. And now we have this explosive personality Medusa, and I could have brought in magic here quite easily. I actually could have brought in Warlock as well and just play parry heavy style, but I brought in Nick Fury for no reason in particular rather than to have that safety of extra life. In addition to that, this magic doesn't seem to be the highest signature level, but my plan was to just push through those 3 Furies with my Nick Fury, because when he gets auto-blocked, Nick Fury goes stun immune and inflicts bleed on an opponent. And I wasn't worried about getting parry stun from those, so I could just play super aggressive, and we could see that the fight is over extremely quickly. That's also the last fight of the war. Huge shout out to GT40 that did incredibly well in this war. It was a really, really tight war. But yeah, that is it for me in this war. Best of luck to them the remainder of the season, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.